Welcome, everybody. This is a council meeting for the municipality of the County of Annapolis. I'll start with the roll call. District 1.
Bruce Prout.
District 2.
Ryan Fuzzy Connell.
District 3 is Alan Parrish, myself. District 4.
Clyde Bardo.
District 5.
Lynn Longmire.
District 6.
Alec Morrison.
District 7.
David Hudson.
District 8.
Michael Gunn.
District 9.
Wendy Sheridan.
District 10.
Brad Red.
District 11.
Diana Black. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you. Next is the disclosure of interest. Are there any issues on the agenda that anybody feels they may have a conflict? Seeing none, I'll move along to approval of the agenda. Deputy Warden, you want to move to approve it?
That's right.
Is there a second? Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Councillor Barteau.
I'd like to add 7.2 and property valuation services addition.
Sorry, what's this now?
Property valuation services issue.
What issue is that?
What do you want me to talk about now?
Well, no, I mean, did you notify anybody about it coming up?
This is a late addition.
So it would be,
And this is when you do late addition.
well, we try to stay.
What's the problem?
Well, just listen to me for a minute. We try to stay away from matters being brought up at council without notice to the councilors beforehand. We've had this before where we encourage people to, if they want to bring something, circulate some kind of background information before it comes onto the agenda. That's the practice that
Well,
we'll.
that's clean and remove, I will. But if 7 or 8 days ahead, I don't have that information and it comes up later on, I can't get on the agenda to Carolyn because she won't have it then, so my option is late addition to it. I had a call this morning to write that as well.
Yeah, well,
It's not going to take a lot. We're taking more time talking about that than
Well,
we get through it.
yeah, here's the thing. We're trying to establish a
We're
practice.
council. We should have been thrown.
Councillor Barteau, you're interrupting me, if you don't mind. Out of order. Let me speak, please.
Really?
Thank you. We're trying to create a practice where things don't come up before council unannounced, where people don't have the background beforehand. And so that's the practice we're trying to create, and that's why I'm taking the opportunity now to indicate that that's the practice. I'm happy to have you put this on the agenda today, okay? But I'm not pleased to put it on the agenda without some background. So I'm trying to make it clear for the future that when people want to put something on the agenda at the last minute, if they can, they should give some notice to the council beforehand about the background and what it's about, rather than bringing it up before council.
And that's what I did.
Well,
You're calling me a liar, like I'm not doing things.
Councillor Barteau, you're out of order.
I don't understand where you're coming from on this one. We always allowed late additions to the agenda.
I told-
Why all of a sudden does that change now?
If I may say something,
Look, I'm happy to have this go on the agenda. I'd like to, all I'm doing is I'm maintaining the practice that if people can let council know what's coming up, they should. And I think at that, I'll ask if anybody else wants to speak to the agenda as amended. Councillor Connell.
7.1, no background information.
Right.
Take it off then. You just gave the same story to my counselor beside me.
Yeah,
I got no information on that in the package,
yeah,
so take it off.
I
If
spoke
that's the way we're gonna run it.
I spoke to the CAO about that before, Councillor Connell, about that with that same objection, that there should have been a background information for it.
You just explained
Yeah.
to my colleague the same situation you got in 7.1.
Councillor Connell, I told him he could put it on the agenda. What I'm trying to do is explain that I'm trying to encourage a practice that there be some background information if possible. I didn't say he couldn't put it on the agenda. I said he could put it on the agenda. All I'm trying to do is...
I've been in this council chambers for 17, 18, 20 years, and we are never denied we could not add something as a late addition. Just because you may not like that, it's not a practice that's been common in these council chambers. If we get a phone call as a councilor on the way here and something comes up, we should be allowed to add it to the agenda. We have not passed a new committee form yet. And that is one of the issues I'm going to have when that review of that policy comes up. We're council. If 6 people around this table vote that something should be added to the agenda, that's how council works. Not because somebody doesn't want something on the agenda.
Councillor Connell, I said that could be placed on the agenda. I didn't say it couldn't.
Your explanation about no background fits 7.1.
Make a motion about the agenda, Councillor Connell?
No, I'm just making a point.
Okay. Any other discussion about the agenda as amended, adding 7.2 that Councillor Bartow wishes to bring up? Councillor LeBlanc.
I have two things. Number one, what I was going to say previously was that if there was some sort of urgency of time, we have placed things on the agenda. Two, I see that I didn't have any information on the new business. I thought it was only going to be information brought to us, no decision-making, no nothing. Am I wrong on that, or am I correct? On the water.
All I know is that Councillor Bartow wishes to bring
No.
something up on the agenda, and I don't know where it's going to go.
Well, I'm talking about the Annapolis, if we're putting it with 7.2, then it's the same thing as the Annapolis water keepers. We're only discussing, getting information from this. There's my question.
My understanding about the water keepers is that the CEO is just going to report.
Discussion, okay. So, and from what I see, then we're going to have report and discussion from whatever what Councillor Bartow is going to give us? Yes? Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on the agenda as amended? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Adoption of the minutes.
For April 19th. Move to adopt the minutes from April 19th, 22 be approved as circulated.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Longmire, discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion is carried. Next.
That the minutes of the special session the council held on May 3rd, 2022 be approved as circulated.
Seconded by Councillor Prout. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion is carried. There's no business arising from the minutes. We'll move to the councillor comments. District 1.
Thank you. It's certainly been a busy time in District 1 since our last regular council meeting. Indeed, spring is well underway with farmers on the land, crops being planted, and a number of seasonal businesses are reopening. In addition to a number of special meetings regarding the budget, I've attended the last 2 East End planning meetings, the April board meeting of TCTS, the May meeting of the Wilmot and Area Neighborhood Watch, and the Strategic Planning Committee, and busy doing a bit of legwork for our East End planner, Mr. Lamb. I wanted to bring up one thing that has been mentioned to me in a couple of the meetings I've attended in the last month. The question of the need for more people to come forward and help out with local community community groups and service clubs. There's a lack, and we've talked about it here in Chambers, a real lack of volunteers. And a number of times, the meetings I've been at, it has been raised. And there's a real concern there that if we aren't able to, or if they, the service clubs and community groups, can't find more volunteers, more and more things will have to sort of slip by the wayside. So just, I'd like to suggest that there are any people, any citizens of any age. You don't have to be a voting age. You don't have to be a senior. If you have time to commit to a local community group or a service club, and you can do it, I would really strongly suggest that you give that some thought, and if you're able to help them out. Thank you.
District 2?
Yes, good morning. My area has been fairly quiet, but there's been a lot of activity around exactly what Bruce was saying. Some of the halls find it very hard to get volunteers to come in and to restart activities to cover the cost of their halls. We've had several meetings in the area of District 2, and volunteers are sparse. So again, I vocal the voice of my colleague there on the fact is that all ages, please get out and put your name forward. Other than that, things have been pretty quiet around District 2.
Thank you. District 3, the Clarence Community Market opens in early June on Sunday mornings. This is another project by Avery Jackson and his father, Alan. There was a good story about Avery in the Register a week or two ago. He's a real asset to the community. There's work carrying on at the wharf at Hampton. They're repairing if you're familiar with the wharf, they're repairing the old part where all the big rocks are. There's been some damage there caused by the storms, but they're not going to create a drivable area. They're just going to repair the rocks there. I had a call about restrictions about animals that might be on people's lands when we go through the new zoning and planning system. And I think this is a matter of some concern around the community, and I urge everybody to attend the planning session in their area, or even more sessions if they can. Thank you. District 4.
Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to start by speaking on the countywide planning meetings. And anybody listening, I'm hoping to get that around. That it's very important that lots of people come out, give their opinions. This is the time to do it. Don't assume things are going to turn out the way you want. And explain later. You need to get out and voice your opinions. I've already been getting phone calls this morning after the meeting last night with displeasure on how it was presented and the lack of turnout from the public. And there's other questions related to that, but we can leave to later. But these meetings are important. It's gathering information from the citizens so that they're heard and the concerns can be woven into the fabric of these plans, these documents. Please see the schedule, find venues, timelines that work for you. If the time doesn't work, you can go to a different venue. Anyway, move on from there. I encourage everyone to support the community halls in the fundraising efforts, as they serve an important role in our communities. Try to keep an eye out for posted events, and that's how these organizations survive. COVID-19 has not gone away yet. Lifting restrictions doesn't mean we can ignore the distancing and sanitization. COVID is still a real thing. It's active. Please be vigilant. I'm hoping we can have a safe and prosperous tourist season this year, and that we won't have any restrictions brought down provincially on us. So if we pay attention to how we have before, and it's shown that it works, since the lifting of the restrictions, I've noticed that there's been more active cases because people think, well, the province doesn't want us to distance or mask anymore, we won't. And but the province did say they recommend that you still do. It's just they're not enforcing it. So anyway, that's all my little rant on that one, so thank you.
Thank you. District 5.
Good morning from District 5. It's been a very busy month. I've been attending several committee meetings, including the Habitation Advisory Committee meeting, Physician Recruitment Committee meeting, and I was able to drop by the former town hall in Bridgetown to see the plans for Queen Street, and it's exciting times for Bridgetown. Along with attending the strategic planning workshop at the Bridgetown Motor Inn on May 11th, and an awesome supper was provided by Diobins. Sunday, the 14th in the evening, I attended a visioning meeting along with the Warden Parish, and it is focusing on the next 100 years. At the Lower Granville Hall, the participation there was brainstorming around thriving communities and what the area is considering. More gatherings in the future on the same topics. Just a few of those topics were Food Hub, looking at making connections in the community and caring for elderly and welcoming newcomers, just as a few. A beautiful memorial stone has been placed at the Delas Cove Wilderness Trail, and that is in honor of the boat that sunk off of our shoreline, the William Solace, and all the lives that were lost on December 15th, 2020. It was placed there, May 11th, by Colin Sproul and his crew. They made this beautiful donation. If you're in the area taking that walk, take note. We are getting busy with county planning and have advertised these meetings well on the radio, social media, flyers, and posters. Citizens can look for up and coming meetings in their district. Last night was the kickoff in Oakdean, and I was in attendance there. The website, of course, was noted on the posters, but it's www.planapolis.ca, so PLANNAPOLIS.ca. For those who have internet, come out and get excited about your county's future planning and land use. Bring about your ideas and concerns, and please ask a neighbor to join you. Although every community may not have a venue for these meetings, as I did have some citizens reach out to me asking why, I assured them that it was spread out throughout and that we were doing the very best we could to cite the appropriate venues. As seasons are changing, we face drier conditions and less precipitation. I ask everyone to pay vigilant attention to the burn restrictions, and as well, please butt out. B-U-T-T, butt out, don't toss out. Fires are becoming more prevalent, and let us take good care of our Mother Earth. You may recall the little boy, his name is Tryson, in District 5, who battled a year-long treatment program at the IWK for cancer. He has had his Make-A-Wish come true through the Wish Foundation and RBC, a beautiful camper. He was surprised with this on April 27th. I also, in March, missed a very special birthday in my district, Doris Holiday, who celebrated her 101st birthday. I certainly want to make mention of that. It was a very special day. Excited about our markets and seeing stands along the roadsides. Please take caution when you see these pop-ups. Wishing our grads of 2022 all the best as they finish up their final month of May and June. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 6.
Thank you. Frank and Dora's Eat-In place in Deep Brook has opened. It's a takeout restaurant. It's an eat-in restaurant. And I commend it to you for the food, the atmosphere, the view of the basin, and the hundreds of souvenir and memory recalling items displayed both inside and outside Frank and Dora's. The new business in District 6 is called Back to Our Roots. It's located in Deep Brook. Lisa Melanson and her daughters produce candles, and there are many varieties, and hand pour each one using plant-based soy wax. And she can be found in her studio or at various markets in the area. The Clementsport Legion Dinner Theater 2-night run proved to be as popular as ever. Plans are now being made for an autumn event, perhaps of a different nature, but sure to be entertaining. The Wednesday afternoon market at Deep Brook Lions Club continues from 3 to 6. There is going to be a great book sale at the Upper Clements Hall on Saturday, the 28th of May. This is always a productive event, and it may well offer for sale a lot of books from the libraries of individuals. Oceanside Art Gallery in the former military museum at Cornwallis Park is now open for another season. Speaking of volunteers, there was a lunch for volunteers at the Cornwallis Park Community Hall last Saturday, well attended, but no matter how many volunteers we have, we can always have more. Some people may remember the Cornwallis Park Villager, which was a news publication, succeeded by, for about 9 months, a different type of news publication for District 6. And now Garth Stevens, who is a member of the Cornwallis Park Community Association Board, has started a newsletter setting out what's happening throughout the area. It's also going to be distributed through my email list, but if anyone would like to receive this once a month, just let me know. The annual yard sale in Cornwallis Park and up and down Highway 1 is slated for the 4th of June from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And the Cornwallis Community Garden is now in full operation. 3 dozen beds, a small orchard, and a large rock garden. And I spent some time discussing with my wife today over the phrase large rock garden and to what the large applies, whether it's the rock or the garden, but I'll save you that. Thank you.
Thank you, District 7.
Thank you very much. I think I'll start with a short, I'll call it a spring poem, okay? It goes like this. In valley fields, the dandelions grow. They coat the fields with their glow and make us all eager to mow. Excuse me. I continue. Other than calls, numerous calls and emails regarding a variety of subjects, such as the countywide plan, the sale of the school and the town hall in Bridgetown, the work on Queen Street, things have been fairly quiet in District 7. The only thing that I will mention is that the Bridgetown Development Committee, which is a committee of the Chamber of Commerce, is hosting a public workshop on what they're calling asset mapping. The meeting will be at the Bridgetown Regional Community School, and the meeting date is June the 2nd, 2022, and will start at 6:30 p.m. As I understand, they were looking for input to identify community strengths and challenges, to establish a consensus on what are the most important future goals of the community. From that input, they will be developing an action plan to meet the goals that were identified at that meeting. Thank you.
Sure. Mr. Gates?
Thank you. Morning, all. We'll begin by sharing my communications this month, which have been varied. We were commended by a constituent for working with the Western Woodlot Cooperative Forestry Services, of whom we are members, to lead by example in our forestry management and meeting the goals of addressing ecological loss and the climate crisis. It was noted that following the Leahy report, what was lacking is implementation. Our upcoming actions will be modeling ecological forest management and preservation. And Council is receiving kudos for being proactive and starting the ball rolling. I was contacted and thanked for pointing out to Council that they could have individually chosen to donate money to Ukraine instead of opting to spend taxpayers' money. I was contacted by several people about poor sidewalk conditions in Bear River and poor road conditions, namely the new Albany Road. I was contacted by several people who were distraught about either the condition of the buildings in the former Upper Clements Park or who were disturbed that some structures were being torn down. Some people expressed the hope that Council would make use of the space for housing alternatives. I heard from several people about the direction of Council in terms of continuing the enforcement of the vaccination policy and their opposition to it. I was asked about the county-wide municipal planning strategy and what could take place at the meetings, and I was approached by the Bear River Fire Chief to let me know that the Annapolis County Fire Services would like to meet with all of Annapolis Council to discuss the funding model. In other news, a spring cold kept me from joining both the Woodland Conference in the 40s and the waterfront cleanup in Bear River. But reports are that both were a success. I am hearing that the cleanup was a nice way to meet neighbors, and the result is that the waterfront is nicely spruced up. A big thank you to the organizers and participants of both of those events. On a personal note, I finished a master class in hempcrete construction. I'm sharing this with you because I believe it to be an ecologically sensible building material, something that is, if we're smart, going to become an affordable way to reduce our carbon footprint while providing an opportunity to have an entirely locally grown and processed building product. We're watching interest rates go up dramatically. Housing prices double. Gas prices about to be doubled. And we should be proactive when we can, particularly when discussing future building projects and developments. We need to let the province of Nova Scotia know that we need a change in the building code to make room for this kind of safe, insulating, fireproof, mold-proof, pest-proof, renewable building material. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 9.
Thank you. I'm just going to echo the remarks of other councillors in regards to the volunteers for community groups. They are lacking, and things have to be canceled because of it. Some of the committees in Nicktaw are starting to get back together now, so I'm hoping there will be some new events coming up soon. And also encourage all residents, when they can, pick one of the venues and head out to the planning meetings. They're very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you. District 10.
Yeah, thank you. The Annapolis County Exhibition is hosting the RCMP Musical Ride, as I've discussed before. It's on July 23rd. There's shows at both 2 and 7 p.m. And the Lawrencetown Pool group is meeting tonight at 6:30 p.m. at the Lawrencetown Library. And they are, last I checked, still looking for volunteers for their board.
Thank you. And District 11.
Thank you. Well, I'll start with Mother's Day. Mother's Day was a great day where you could spend with your family if you can, if they weren't too far away, or call and speak to them, or Zoom, or whatever the case may be. that was the day that I saw everybody seemed to be out and about. Everything was booked up tight, everything was busy. They were enjoying the good weather and hopefully a great turnaround. It's certainly interesting to see how a lot of the people are going out and taking a walk, taking their dog. They seem to have tripled in the last couple of weeks, and even just standing outside, diddling in their gardens and talking to the people that are going by. So it's great to see. Because of the price of gas, we might be staying in our backyards because we can't go very far. So it is a crunch on our residents to have to deal with everything that is changing. And adding such a great price on gas, of course, we have no control. However, it is causing other difficulties as we see them. We did receive our meeting with Jason Hahn with the strategic planning as a group from the province, and it certainly was quite interesting, and I think everybody had a great time when they were doing it, even the CEO. And it also ends up into other things, and now we're doing a countywide planning, which is also passed down from the province that we need to do. It's something new for everyone, and we are not only doing the new parts that haven't been planned, but we are also reviewing the other areas that have already been planned for X amount of years. So it's almost a total review of everything. So everybody has to be engaged and come out and give their opinions and ideas and ask questions. So we have a slew of meetings for the all new areas that haven't been looked at yet, and I'm hoping that everybody will take the opportunity to go out and take part. Other than that, great time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next item is the new business, Annapolis Waterkeepers. Mr. CEO.
So first of all, I'll apologize to council. I didn't anticipate this being the new business item. I just anticipated it just being a follow-up to the meeting that we had with the Waterkeepers some months ago, and really to the correspondence that was forwarded to council a couple weeks ago in terms of their legal review that they had asked us to do. So my apologies for that. So first of all, I'd like to thank the Waterkeepers. It's nice to see that there's community groups that are very concerned about the environment. In terms of that, given the correspondence that they provided to council based on the legal review, there's really nothing that the county can do in terms of legal review at this point. Certainly in terms of future developments, we have opportunities to regulate that, but certainly in terms of this existing site, there's really virtually nothing that the county can do. They did make suggestion that we engage a scrutineer. My advice to council is not to engage a scrutineer at this point. I don't think that there'd be any value for us doing that. And I will reiterate that Jim and I did meet with the ministry a couple weeks ago to talk about a number of issues, this being one of them. And I won't comment on that discussion, but it was all pretty much laid out in the correspondence that council received a couple of weeks ago from the legal firm that was working on behalf of Waterkeepers. So that's really all I wanted to say in terms of just a response to the meeting that we had a few months ago with the Waterkeepers.
Comments, Councillor Bartel?
Just one question. Would not an expansion of an existing facility count as new work?
No, that's all regulated through the province. I mean, if there's an expansion to do other things, we can regulate things happening going forward, but not with the existing site that's being regulated through the provincial mandate.
Even if they had an additional property, they're still covered by the road?
What if they have additional property? What I'm suggesting is the property that's being designated now by the province, we have no control of what happens there.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'll just say that, this is in my district. I've been working with the people that have concerns about this site. The concerns have been voiced, and, really they go to the Department of Environment. I will say that the legal opinion that was circulated to everybody, I thought was a very good legal opinion. It wasn't trying to push a certain side. It came right down the middle, and it came really to the conclusion that we really didn't have any jurisdiction to do anything with respect to this site. And if we did try to do something, probably we'd be involved in litigation and we'd probably not be successful. So that was the opinion that the water keepers brought to us, other than the scrutineer possibility, which would be something new that I don't know if it's been done before, but as the CAO said, it's not something that he's interested in pursuing at this point. Deputy Warden.
Thank you. Could you explain scrutineer what that would mean?
It's really not for me to explain. I'll do my best because it's an idea.
I don't know anything.
It's an idea they came up with. Here's my understanding for what it's worth. When the trucks go up to the site, there's supposed to be a logbook, and there's supposed to be a history of what goes in and what doesn't. And I believe that what the water keepers were suggesting in the information that was circulated to all of us is that the municipality hire somebody to monitor the materials that are going into the site. That's the best I can come up with.
Thank you.
Okay, unless there's something else, we'll move along to 7.2, property valuation services. Councilor Bartel.
Just for discussion and maybe some response from the CAO, from staff, property valuation services, and I actually talked to them myself, and they said that they're behind. They're not going to have the appeals process through until mid to late June at best. So there's property tax bills going to be out prior to decisions being made. And I'm getting a lot of questions as to what do they pay. They're waiting for a response on appeal, but they don't want to be penalized for late payments or anything. So is there any movement forward on the deadline for making those payments to address that issue? That's the concerns that I'm kind of paraphrasing or summarizing that. And that's basically why I wanted that item on this agenda, is just to have that discussion.
Can you respond to that?
So the designated date for tax receipts is June 30th. So should council decide to do something different than that, we have to make that change effective now. I would suggest that I would have some concerns with that for a couple of reasons. We really don't want to delay the collection of cash from June 30th. At this point in time, that just puts us in overdraft, and it ends up costing in terms of carrying costs associated with borrowing money. The second thing is, what's the time frame? I mean, if they're saying they're going to get it done in the summer, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen either in terms of the appeals. And there's no guarantee that the appeals will, in fact, be successful. So my suggestion is, unfortunately, the way the tax system works now, unless we wanted to change our collection date and or dates, my suggestion is, unfortunately, that's just the way the system works. So if council wants to consider doing something different, it might be a little bit late to do that now in terms of trying to manage certainly the cash flow side of things for June 30th. But certainly if that's something we wanted to consider going forward, I don't know what the rules would be, but certainly we can change the collection dates. That's something that's certainly available to council to make that decision. I will say that I've never been in a community that's had only one date for collection. And I thought that maybe that was something that we'd want to do. Maybe we could, prorate that over 2 or 3 or 4 different collection periods. But it's nice to get all the cash in your hands on that particular date. It certainly gives you a strong cash flow position effective July 1st. So that's a strong consideration. But at this point, I would say, unfortunately, the answer is there's nothing we can do.
So can I follow up? If if everybody was to pay the taxes, would be a quick turnaround if they win their appeal, that they could get that residual money back?
As soon as we get notification, we start processing those payments.
That was part of that question. So that way I'll have more feedback to respond to constituents.
Saw some hands up a minute ago. Councillor Connell.
Yeah, that was my concern is that, I know in the past sometimes, it was told to the constituent, oh, we'll put that on for next year's taxes. But a lot of people are having difficulty raising the taxes for this year, every year. Some people do. So I'd rather see a rebate system if they can prove they won their appeal to get their money back for this year and in continued years instead of just saying, oh no, we'll just take it off next year's taxes.
Yeah, so certainly that wouldn't be the approach that I would advocate. I agree with you that if they paid their taxes based on the tax bill, if there's an appeal, we give them the refund accordingly.
My point was the same as that there was recourse. Thank you.
Seeing no other hands up, we'll move along to the committee and organizational reports. Committee of the whole.
8.1.
Yeah.
Derelict Vehicle Collection Program Extension. That Municipal Council authorized an extension of two years to the multi-year contract option by Brown's Auto Salvage Limited as approved June 18th, 2019, to be signed by the warden and the municipal clerk in accordance with the recommendation of the committee of the whole.
Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion? Councillor Bartel.
Just for clarification, is that an option that was in the original contract?
For the extension?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was.
Any further discussion? Councillor Crouch?
I know Mr. Brown, Tim Brown, and I think he does an excellent job. He's been doing this long before I came on council and continues to do it in a very environmentally sensitive way, and where I think he provides great service to the county. So thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
8.2, Ravenhaven Beachside Family Park Future Plan. That Municipal Council approve the Ravenhaven Beachside Family Park 1 through a 5-year plan pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Longmire seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
8.3, Regional Emergency Management Plan. That Municipal Council approved the Regional Emergency Management Plan, drafted, dated March 2022, in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Seconded by Councillor Hudson. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
8.4, AM-1.2.5, Declaration of Proclamations Policy Amendment. That Municipal Council approved the addition of National Accessibility Week and International Day of Persons with Disabilities to AM-1.2.5 Declaration of Proclamations Policy pursuant to 7-day notice given at Committee of the Whole.
Is there a seconder? Councillor LeBlanc seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
8.5, Road Naming Process. for shared access road off Church Street, Bridgetown North. That municipal council initiate the road naming review process to name the shared driveway that provides access to the residents off Church Street in the Bridgetown North in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Hudson seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
8.6, road naming process for shared access road at Long Lake, Hampton. That municipal council initiate the road naming review process to name the shared access road at Long Lake in Hampton pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Longmire seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
8.7, mayor versus warden system of governance. That municipal council seek public input regarding the move to a mayoral system in conjunction with the 2022 polling district review public consultations. And bear in mind the potential of an extension from the Nova Scotia NS Utility and Review Board, NSUARB, in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Seconded by Councillor Morrison. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
8.8, CNH application to amend the Bridgetown Land Use Bylaw, LUB, test and zoning map. That municipal council consider processing the application from CMH on behalf of the municipality of the County of Annapolis to amend the Bridgetown Land Use Policy, LUB, text and zoning map. The amendments will include rezoning the land identified as parcels PID number 0514477, 0514475, 051449293, and 05005475 in the community of Bridgetown, from the institutional I-1 and remove and open space O1 zones to the residential multiple R2 zone, as well as the removal of Part 9.3.2D regarding the location of multi-unit buildings on local streets. The aforementioned text and map amendments will permit the redevelopment of the property from a former school to a multi-unit residential and development consisting of 16 two-bedroom apartments, and that as part of the process of file number 66520-35, 2022 LUB-001, CMH Old Bridgetown School, Bridgetown LUB text and zoning map amendment application. Municipal Council adopt a public participation process involving the referral of the application to the Bridgetown Area Advisory Committee and Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, for their review and recommendation, and that as part of the processing file number 66520-35, 2022 LUB-001, CMH Old Bridgetown School, Bridgetown LUB text and zoning map amendment application. Municipal Council set Tuesday, May 31st, 2022 at 7 p.m. At the Bridgetown Volunteer Fire Department, and hold a PAC-sponsored public meeting in the community pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Well done, Deputy Warden.
Can you repeat that?
Second, Councillor Hudson seconds. As I said previously, I can't make that meeting on May 31st. I've got a long scheduled trip outside the province, so I won't be there that night. I will say that the Bridgetown Area Advisory Committee meeting is this Wednesday night at 6 o'clock in Lawrencetown.
So May 31st, is that the fire hall?
That's the fire hall.
That's the Fire Hall in Bridgetown. The meeting at 6 o'clock for the Bridgetown Advisory Committee meeting is in Lawrencetown, I think at our offices, right? Is that, can someone confirm? Yeah, it's at our offices in Lawrencetown. Any further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. That appears to be the end of the agenda at this part before we go into in-camera. So I'll ask for a motion to go in-camera.
So moved.
Moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Craig. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. We've now finished the in-camera portion of the meeting today. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?